It's Thursday night. You know what that means. Another episode of the Kicking Out Podcast. I'm Tanner Lee, along with Paul Zartman. We're here to talk a little bit of everything involving All Elite Wrestling. And we got a few tidbits about the Royal Rumble to go over tonight. Paul, how are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Been a long day. Was not supposed to be as long of a day as it turned out being, but it was still a good day.
Hey, we're one step closer to the weekend. It's Friday tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's good news. Good news on the horizon. And we had a heck of a episode of Dynamite to recap from last night. So
we did. It was action-packed from start to finish, as usual.
Sure was. And we have an action-packed on this day to go over real quick.
Yeah.
On this day in 1991, Paul Bearer made his WWF debut on Superstars of Wrestling. One of the greatest managers, if not the greatest manager of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. Paul Bearer did a lot, not only for Undertaker and Kane, but just in general in the ring, even before he became Paul Bearer, that we all know and love now. He was a great manager.
Sure was. He did a lot for that Undertaker character. Undertaker's a legend, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he becomes in the same status as he did without Paul Bearer.
I can completely agree with you on that one.
On this day in 2007, we had a Royal Rumble happen. We saw the Hardy Boys defeat John Morrison and Joey Mercury in a tag match.
I vaguely remember that. M&N.
Yep. I think by that time Melina was out. I think. I could be wrong. I could be wrong there. What else? Also during that pay-per-view, Batista defeated Mr. Kennedy to retain the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, Mr. Anderson now, but yes.
Mr. Anderson now, but at the time he was Mr. Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy.
Fun fact, I went to the 2006 Great American Bash when it was in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I saw those two square off in that pay-per-view.
Oh, okay.
It was Batista's return. It was his in-ring return. He had been injured. He was supposed to face Mark Henry because Mark Henry's who put him out. Not kidding you. That week, Mark Henry blew his knee out on SmackDown. So they had to put Mr. Kennedy in instead. And that was kind of the highlight of that pay-per-view. There was also a U.S. Championship match. It was supposed to be Finlay versus Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley fails a physical before the pay-per-view. They find elevated enzymes in his liver. So then it's Finlay versus William Regal. And then there was a Punjabi prison match, the first one ever in WWE history. It was supposed to be Great Khali versus Undertaker, but they did a segment early in the pay-per-view when Great Khali and Big Show attacked Undertaker, then became Undertaker versus the Big Show instead. So it was like the pay-per-view looked awesome to begin with on paper, and then it was still fun, but it was like, this could have been so much better. But hey,
some say that was the start of the downward turn for them as well, too.
Yep, that's wrestling. So injuries happen.
Yep.
Also on this day in 2007, part of that Royal Rumble event, John Cena defeated Umaga in a last man standing match to retain the WWE Championship. I think this is one of the best non-Royal Rumble matches that's ever taken place at a Royal Rumble pay-per-view.
I would agree with you on that, especially because Umaga had a huge head of steam going into that match. I don't think he had any losses at that point. I think he was still undefeated, and everybody just assumed Umaga was the next champion. He had a great manager for him, and he was quickly becoming a fan favorite.
Yeah, I mean, he's another wrestler that was taken away from us far too soon, but he was a monster heel in his heyday, and but back then, not too many people beat John Cena. So
right,
but if you have not seen that before and have the WWE Network, I would recommend going back and checking out that match. It's definitely worth your time. Can you tell me who won the Royal Rumble in 2007, Paul?
No.
The Undertaker.
Okay.
He was the first winner to come from the 30 spot. He won that, and then he would go on and face Batista at WrestleMania, where he would defeat Batista up in Detroit, WrestleMania 23.
Yep, that I knew.
On this day in 2018, we had another Royal Rumble. And this match was on the pre-show. It's crazy to think this match was on the pre-show. You had the Revival, as they were known back then, against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. So two teams we're going to talk about here in a little bit. They faced off in the pre-show, and the Revival defeated Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson back in that match.
Even back then, I had the FTR mentality.
Yeah, yes, you did. Little BT plug there.
Yep.
We also saw AJ Styles retain the WWE Championship over Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I remember that being a very good match.
Yes. Any match with Sami Zayn's always a good match. I mean, he's a very talented performer. Underutilized in the WWE. I think he could be a lot more if they'd let him, but I just don't think they're ready to let him yet.
I think you could say the same. Well, not underutilized, so to speak, but say the same about AJ Styles and Kevin Owens, that anytime they're in the ring, you're going to get a good match. They're going to deliver. So I enjoy seeing those three guys work. We also saw on this day in 2018, the Usos defeat the team of Gable and Shelton Benjamin in a 2 of 3 falls match to retain the SmackDown Tag Team titles.
I vaguely remember Shelton and Gable's reign. It was after they brought Kurt Angle back and they did the spinoff with Gable's partner being his son. Can't think of his name now for
Jason Jordan.
Yes. And those two worked really well together. They always had good tag matches. Always enjoyed watching them.
And speaking of Jason Jordan, he and Seth Rollins were defending the Raw Tag Team titles against the team of Sheamus, who's turns 43 today. Today's Sheamus' birthday, and Cesaro. Sheamus and Cesaro beat them and took the titles off of Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins.
Another very interesting tag team that was put together just because at the time they said, well, look, you guys butt heads all the time. We're going to make you a tag team. And they were very dominant, and I was kind of disappointed when they split the team up.
Yep. And Jason Jordan got hurt and hasn't wrestled since.
Yep.
I've heard stories he's potentially trying to make a comeback to the ring, so we'll see. Can you tell me who won the 2018 Men's Royal Rumble?
No. I don't think I watched that one. Oh, okay.
And he would go on to face AJ Styles at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was the 18.
I gotta admit, I think the Shinsuke AJ Styles match was one of the WrestleMania matches I look back on, and I was just highly disappointed in the match.
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna be the match of the night by far, and it underdelivered.
Yep. Very, very underdelivered.
We also saw Brock Lesnar retain his title over Braun Strowman and Kane.
Yeah, not too much to say on that one.
Until I read that, I forgot Kane was even in that title hunt at that time.
So did I.
I think it was one of those cases where it was supposed to be Lesnar against Strowman 1-on-1, and Vince didn't think Strowman was ready yet.
Yeah, I still don't think Vince thinks Strowman's ready, but
probably never will.
Nope.
Okay, who won the 2018 Women's Royal Rumble?
Becky Lynch.
Nope.
No.
You're too late.
Too late. Yep.
Asuka.
Okay.
And you know why you don't remember that?
No.
Right after she won it, Ronda Rousey made her debut.
Oh, that's that one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I even said back then, I said, you just ruined Asuka's win.
Yep.
Nobody's going to remember it.
They blew it. Looking back on it, and Ronda Rousey had a great debut with Kurt Angle in the Superdome against Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. But what they should have done was Ronda Rousey versus Asuka with her undefeated streak.
Yes.
Instead, they had Asuka go against Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte beat her at WrestleMania.
Yeah. It's kind of disappointing. I thought they were going to do something huge with Ronda. And apart from her title reign, there wasn't too much.
I don't think we've seen the last of her. I think she'll be back eventually.
Yeah, Stephanie started talking again about, well, the door's always open for Ronda. So
I think it's more of when, not if.
Yep.
So, and you have one more on this day from 2018.
Yes, I do. Jay White defeated Kenny Omega to win the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship. And shortly after that match, the Golden Lovers reunited, which is all part of the Bullet Club history. And I think we'll get into some Bullet Club talk a little bit later tonight, of course. But yeah, I didn't realize that they reunited 3 years ago, and I didn't realize Kenny dropped the belt 3 years ago until Twitter told me.
Yep. And Jay White, I mean, look at what he's accomplished
Yeah.
the last 3 years. So he's technically, well, rumored to be a free agent right now. I mean, we could possibly see him, I guess, pop up in the Rumble Sunday, but I personally think he's re-signing with New Japan, and it's just part of storyline.
Yep. I think that's exactly what they'll do. There's been too many free agents here recently in the last 2-3 years that have, oh, we're going to go here, I'm going to go there, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I mean, Thunder Rosa's still doing it to this very day. She made a post earlier today about, or yesterday about, I think the Octagon's calling me again. And it's like, okay, we know you're not going to go. You're going to stay right where you're at.
She's just waiting for NWA to get started up again, really.
Yep.
I mean, she's just a placeholder right now in AEW so they can get going again. Hopefully we see her after her contract ends with NWA. Hopefully she's back with AEW full time, but we'll see what happens there.
Yep.
Okay, Paul, before we get into breaking down BTE, I know as a pro wrestling fan, you enjoy the Royal Rumble. I enjoy the Royal Rumble. I got to admit, I haven't even decided if I'm going to watch it on Sunday because of the lack of a crowd. I just don't know how it's going to be because I always love the surprises. Like last year, Edge's return, unbelievable.
Yep.
You've seen other legends make surprises. John Cena returning like 3 months after he tore some muscles, tore his bicep, I think it was, or something back in 2008. Unbelievable at the Garden. But with that said, who are you predicting to win the men's and women's Royal Rumble this year?
For the women's, I couldn't even tell you. But for the men's, you and I kind of talked about this earlier today, and I think I'm going to go with Daniel Bryan.
I think Daniel Bryan makes the most sense.
Yeah.
From a guy who doesn't watch a ton of WWE anymore, but still kind of knows what storylines are. I'm hoping Daniel Bryan or even Big E. Wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if Edge wins though. He did cut a heck of a promo on Raw this past Monday, and he is in the Royal Rumble, and it wouldn't shock me if he won it. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. It'll be interesting. On the women's side, I've been going back and forth between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. I think it's Rhea Ripley's time. It should have been last year. They should have had her beat Charlotte at WrestleMania. They didn't do it. I think it's time to put the rocket ship on her back.
Do you think Becky returns?
Not yet.
You don't think so?
I think she will return in 2021, but not yet. I think it's too soon. But her and Seth both could be surprise entrants. It'll be interesting to see. So, all right, let's break down this week's Being the Elite. It was titled Fender Bender this week.
Kind of a short episode compared to the last few weeks.
It was short and sweet.
Yep.
Still had some good spots. It opened up with a segment that had the good brothers chatting with the Young Bucks about attacking Penta last week on Dynamite. Gallows and Anderson didn't like the super kicks that Phoenix and Penta gave Matt and Nick, so they got some revenge. Gallows and Anderson say that's some old school Bullet Club right there. Matt is thinking more along the lines of about the tag division, how now there's one less team to be involved. Ultimately, Matt and Nick thank them, and the Good Brothers head off screen. And then Matt then asks, why is there a green screen behind us? Because at first they were on a hill, then they're on a beach, and then finally they're on the boat. The Good Brothers are goofing around, and then the Young Bucks break character and start busting up laughing.
And of course, that was, flashback to the older days with them, because Gallows and Anderson were always the goofballs of the group and always could never take them serious. And I think that's one thing that WWE got wrong with them, is they made them too serious of characters.
Yep. The club version, the version of the club that WWE did with those two styles just didn't work out very well.
Yeah, the OC, as they ended up calling it, the original club.
That's right. We then see Matt and Nick again. They're at a beachfront home in Jacksonville for a meeting. They realize they're late because they've been looking out at the ocean. We didn't see an actual shot of the ocean, but you can kind of hear the waves. Then they continue to be late because they're checking out the jacuzzi near the house.
Yeah. I just don't think they wanted to go to the meeting, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean,
with
they
the
even referenced, we're 35 minutes late now. Oh, well.
Yeah. What's a few more minutes?
Yeah.
Then we see Matt Jackson again. A lot of Young Bucks featured this week.
Yes.
Which is always fine by me. We see Matt Jackson saying they got in a fender bender, and they go to look at the damage with Gallows and Anderson. They roll up and see it's actually CD Christopher Daniels' car that was sideswiped by Brandon Cutler as he pulled into the parking lot. The group's cracking up at what happened. Cutler then walks up and apologizes to Daniels, and fortunately for him, it was a rental car.
Yeah. And luckily they were able to just buff it right out. No real damage. So I think Cutler's going to get away with it this time.
I still wonder, how the heck does that happen when you're parking a car?
I don't know. I can only imagine, since the Good Brothers were hanging out with the Bucks, that they were probably in the van and probably distracted Cutler.
That's true. That's true. I didn't think about that. That's a good point. Probably high chance that you're right there. Then we see a clip showing Isaiah Cassidy hitting Dante from Top Flight with a chair to help Private Party and Matt Hardy pick up the win on last week's Dynamite. The Young Bucks are talking with Private Party and ask if they just turned heel. Private Party said they don't know what that means. Matt and Nick feel like the guys are being manipulated by Matt Hardy. Hardy then gets into the conversation, says they aren't being manipulated. He says they're not egotistical like Matt and Nick, and they are headed for the top. First, they will win the Impact World Tag titles, which they face the Good Brothers on No Surrender, which I believe is February 13th, if I'm not mistaken. And then they'll win the AEW Battle Royal to face the Young Bucks. Nick says they are baby faces, not heels. Hardy says not to listen to them. They are the enemies, not your friends.
Yeah. Very interesting segment. We talk about heel and face a lot, but those are some older terms, and not a lot of the younger generation does understand those. So that was nice seeing Isaiah, just them saying, what's that mean? We don't know what that means. We're just us.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like this Big Money Matt storyline. It's got a lot of wrinkles to it.
Yes, it's changing every week.
Then we see a spot with Alex Abrahantes, I believe is how you pronounce that last name. I might have butchered that, but he's making up some Kool-Aid, some purple Kool-Aid, and he's talking with Five on the phone. And Five says he can't believe the recruits that Alex has brought into the Dark Order. He then offers up his recruiting spot to Alex. We then see Santana, Ortiz, Dasha, and Sammy talking, and they're kind of upset about it, and they're going around and they want to get to the bottom of what's going on as the group's walking around backstage. They're seeing random wrestlers drinking Kool-Aid. The group sees Tony Schiavone even drinking it. Santana says to the camera, "Next week, this ends."
Yeah, I'm interested to see. That's been its own neat little storyline. They would make a great dominant group. Just those five.
Hey, I like grape Kool-Aid. I like purple Kool-Aid.
No, not me. Oh. I had some purple Kool-Aid as a kid, and didn't turn out well.
All right.
We'll just leave it at that.
All right. So you are not going to be a member of the Dark Order.
I might have to suck it up for the Dark Order.
Evil Uno would be proud.
Yes.
So would -1.
Hey, got to make -1 happy. He's not somebody to mess with.
I got some comments from Dark about him that were pretty hysterical. So, speaking of the Dark Order, we see their hanging out. The group is bummed out because Adam Heyman Page said no to join the group. Uno said he's so disappointed about what happened. The group's blaming each other for why Page said no. Colt then tries to calm the group down and says, "It would make us all come together more than ever." Silver then offers up, "It's time for a slumber party." Then we see Colt Cabana talking to various members of the Dark Order's mothers.
Yeah, and Anna had to call her grandma. She wasn't allowed to call her mom. So that was an interesting little twist there. There's a lot of fun-loving hate towards Five, and we won't mention what they say there. But if you follow BTE, you know exactly where they went. And my favorite part of that whole skit, apart from the slumber party, was they were just upset about the table. It was an $800 table, and why was it so little and flimsy?
Who I'm really starting to become a big fan of is 10.
Oh yeah, I'm. What
Not
happened
only
to the Coke? I did it all.
you mean to drink it?
Can you
Yeah,
drink it all? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
drink it. Oh, I cracked up. He's good. In the ring, he's got to be a future star. I mean, in the ring, he's
Oh
got it.
yeah.
He's still green, but he's getting better and better. And he's good in these segments. I mean, the Dark Order they're fun with these segments. Really enjoyable.
Yes, they are. I'm so glad that the Bucks decided to give the Dark Order some skits on BTE because I think it just made the Dark Order take off.
Absolutely. It was the right move for sure. Then we see Chris Statlander, who earlier on, I forgot to mention, she abducted Jungle Boy. Last week
Oh
it was
yeah.
Brian Pillman Jr., and this week it was Jungle Boy. So she has Jungle Boy put a Mentos in a can of soda, which he's doing regular Coke, she's doing Diet Coke. And they watch it spill out and go down a drain, but she thought it was supposed to be more like a volcano. Jungle Boy then says, you have to use a bottle for that. Statlander gets mad and kicks him out of her spaceship.
Again, I'm excited to see Statlander back in the ring. I think having her back on BTE is going to be extremely beneficial for her. Even with the small crowd that's present, I think when her music hits, it's going to be a big pop.
Yep, I think they're getting her more involved in BTE because she's probably going to be returning sooner rather than later. So.
Yeah, she even made a post on Instagram not too long ago. She was on Brandy's YouTube show. She said, I may not be back on All Elite yet, but you can check me out on A Shot with Brandy. So she's definitely hinting at that return sooner rather than later.
I did see that episode. Yeah, she's one of the few on there that I believe she doesn't drink alcohol. So Brandy's had a couple guests that don't drink. So
yeah.
But of course now Brandy's not doing those because she's pregnant.
Right.
So
yeah, she can't be drinking.
I just realized I hadn't seen one of those for a while, and that's why. So, but yeah, I was interested to see how the Mentos was going to work with a can because I've never seen anybody try it with a can.
No,
I've seen it with a bottle, especially with Diet Coke. Every time it's hilarious to watch.
Yeah, well, now we know that one Mentos and one can do not work out. Maybe if we do 2 or 3, it might have been a little bit bigger.
Yep. We then see BT champion John Silver, Johnny Hungy, introducing the number 1 contender challenge where wrestlers have to hang on a pole, kind of do a dead hang. The person to do it the longest gets a shot at the title. Sammy Guevara ends up winning the contest pretty easily.
Yeah, he was first one up and did it for almost 2.5 minutes, and nobody else came even close. I think Luchasaurus could have done it, but even like he said, he had no interest in it. He was just there to be there.
Well, and his body's so long compared to the other guys.
Yeah.
It had to be tougher for him to do with his arms.
He had his legs bent more towards a 90-degree angle versus everybody else who was pretty much just standing there.
Because we had him, the captain, Sean Dean, we had Ryan Nemeth, and Fuego del Sol, I think, were the other contestants. So
yep. And I was surprised the captain didn't go longer than he did.
I thought he might be the one to beat Sammy, but I'm glad Sammy's going to be gunning for it. I think that'd be neat to see. Him and John are going to kick field goals next week.
Yes.
So that's going to be entertaining to watch because that will not be easy.
No, Sammy can kick though, so that
Sammy is a little more athletic than John. So we'll see.
Yeah, but of course, the BTE championship segments are quickly becoming some of my favorites because unlike wrestling, everybody can say, well, the winner's picked and this, that, and the other. There's no way to pick the winner in these things that they're doing. I mean, whether it's throwing bottle caps instead of pong, beer pong or Skittles into a crack. There's no way to predict who's going to win this.
Yeah, just coming up with the most absurd, random things they could think of, and it's very entertaining to watch.
Absolutely.
And then the last scene, we usually get a nice cliffhanger or something. This week it was just Brandon Cutler sleeping.
Yeah. Been a lot of reference to Brandon Cutler sleeping on BTE here lately. Don't know why he's not getting much sleep at home or if they're just making fun of Brandon again.
I think they're just making fun of Brandon probably. I mean, I think they're all tired with, traveling, and it's been a grind for almost a year now, just traveling back and forth to Jacksonville instead of all different spots around the country. So,
and now they're staying later because Dark's now 2 hours long, and so they're not even really leave until the next morning, and their flights are normally at 5, 6, 7, 8 in the morning, and they're up till 2 or 3 filming.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Speaking of Dark, AEW Dark was on, of course, Tuesday night on YouTube, like it always is. We saw Miro defeat Fuego del Sol. Still waiting for Fuego to hit that tornado DDT one of these days.
Yep, it'll happen.
Yeah, they should wait until live crowds. The crowd will pop big time.
Yep.
So we saw him. We saw Jurassic Express in action get a win. We saw Ray Phoenix get a win in a really highly contested match. We saw 10 get a win, which -1 was on commentary, and with Taz and Excalibur. He told Excalibur to shut up multiple times, and he popped Taz one time. Taz was dying laughing, and Excalibur rebounded from it. Goes, yeah, that is my Twitter and Instagram handle. Shut up Excalibur, which I went and checked, and it is Shut up Excalibur. I didn't know that was his actual handle. So, but it was funny.
Did he change it because of -1 though?
No, he already had it like that.
Oh.
So -1, he was funny on commentary, and of course he goes in after the match after 10 wins and hits his opponent with the kendo stick a few times. So
that's been nice to see -1 still around. I just saw that Amanda was on the podcast, the AEW podcast. Haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but everybody says it's a tearjerker.
I listened. It's one of the better podcasts I've ever heard, and it is unbelievably emotional. The details she gets in about Brody's struggles and the fact that she felt like she had to do this. I'm glad she did. I think it helps her, kind of vent. But the fact that some fans still didn't believe that this was COVID related, and she had to come out and tell the whole story. But wow, it's an incredible. She is a strong woman, and so much respect for her and her boys and the Huber family. And definitely everybody listen to this. Stop what you're doing right now. If you're afraid you're going to forget and go listen to AEW Unrestricted, because it was a fantastic podcast.
Yeah, I'll actually be doing that when we get done here.
Yeah, I think it was my favorite one they've done yet. So, but yeah, and then one other takeaway I had from Dark, Powerhouse Hobbs was in a match. I don't remember off the top of my head who he faced, but he hit a brand new move at the end. But my big takeaway was Hook got involved, and he did a belly-to-belly suplex that looked like his dad.
And, it's nice to see, I know Cody made the stab at Team Taz, why is your son training with me then instead of you? And now to see Hook over on Team Taz, it's nice. He brings it full circle, and I think he's not ever going to fill his dad's shoes, and I don't think he wants to, but I think we'll definitely see a lot of Taz in him.
Yep, I agree. He's not built like his dad. He's built a little differently, but he's aggressive, and we got to see him in action a little bit in a backstage segment on Dynamite that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But let's break down Dynamite. Of course, it aired on TNT last night on January 27th. It was a recorded episode from last week, though, so it wasn't live. Show started off with a matchup that's been in the making since All Out. Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer goes back to the Battle Royal, which Lance threw Eddie out, but Eddie said he technically wasn't eliminated. So this had been brewing for a long time. The match starts out. We see Jake Roberts head out to the ring with Lance Archer, but Lance tells him to go to the back. The Butcher and the Blade aren't out with Kingston. This is strictly, one-on-one. And really, Archer dominated most of the match. There was a crazy spot. I don't know if you saw this, Paul, or not, because I know you have YouTube TV, and YouTube TV was having some struggles with Dynamite early on. There was a crazy chokeslam spot where Archer chokeslammed Eddie from the ring over the ropes, and Eddie landed hard on the apron. Oh, it looked like it hurt so bad, right on his back. But that was kind of the highlight spot. But towards the end, we saw Archer walk the top rope, hit the moonsault. One of the most impressive moves I think there is in AEW. I'm amazed how a big guy can move like he does. Archer then has the claw on Kingston's head, and he's looking to slam him down. But then the Butcher and the Blade come out, and they bring out a beaten up Jake Roberts. It was actually nice to know that Jake can get a little physical a little bit if he needs to. That was nice to see. The bunny then appears and hands a knuckle duster to Kingston, which is kind of like brass knucks, but they're covered up. He then back hits Archer to the face, covers 1, 2, 3. Post match, we saw Butcher and the Blade beat up Archer. Some more. Bunny slapped away at fallen Archer, and then Butcher and the Blade hold Archer, and Kingston cracked him again with another spinning back fist.
You know, you're right. I didn't get to watch it live. Eddie got into the ring and it went haywire, so I blame Eddie for not catching it live. But I did go back and watch it on YouTube after the show when they released that match. It's a great match. I mean, Archer is so talented. I cannot believe that, I've only really ever seen Undertaker walk the top rope like that. So to be able to do that and then into a moonsault so flawlessly, it's just amazing to see. And yeah, that choke slam definitely hurt me, and I wasn't even there.
At first, I was upset with the result because I'm like, why do they keep beating Archer? But at the same time, Eddie Kingston only had one singles win on Dynamite going into last night. He's another guy that needs wins. And then the announcement today, I'm not sure if you saw this, Paul, or not. Next week at Beach Break, these two are going to face off again in a lumberjack match.
I did see that. I'm excited for that. I think Beach Break's just shaping up to be an absolutely fantastic show.
Yep, and we'll do some predictions on Beach Break right when we're done recapping Dynamite. Yep. So I'm glad we're getting one more chapter of this rivalry. I think it deserves at least one more chapter.
Yes, it's definitely not a one and done, and I think if they would have just done it a one and done, it would have felt unfinished forever.
Absolutely. Then we come backstage to see Jon Moxley giving a promo. He's trying to figure out the situation between the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, kind of like we all are, really. He doesn't think it's going to work. Feels like there's too much drama within the Elite. Moxley then brings in the Death Triangle and all the relationships that are going on there. Moxley said he's a simple man and he's in business. There's only one person he can trust. He's talking about himself. Moxley tells his partners Pac and Phoenix to saddle up for their match at Beach Break against Omega and Gallows and Anderson.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a great match. Moxley just is so fantastic at promos. Every promo he's ever cut has been just spot on, and they're relatable too, which is always a nice thing.
Yeah, I texted you last time, and I even tweeted from our account, which if you're listening to this and not following us on Twitter or Instagram yet, please do. Our handle's at Kicking Out Pod. I said, Moxley's the man.
Yep. Yep. I would, we've seen Eddie and Moxley wrestle each other. I want to see them in a promo battle where they just have to feed off of each other and declare a winner. I think that'd be interesting, something that you don't see very often, if hardly ever at all anymore, apart from the debate with Jericho and Orange.
Yeah, that was classic. We then get another backstage promo, or I shouldn't say backstage. This one's in like a random warehouse building. We see Sting addressing Team Taz. He's calling them by first name. Says, since we're on a first name basis, Taz, Brian, Ricky, talking about their upcoming street fight. Sting didn't appreciate being called a hoodlum, even though he does say, well, Darby, you are a hoodlum. Which I cracked up for that. I'm like, why are we calling people hoodlums? Like, what is this, the 1990s? Darby then stands up and says, doesn't matter in the streets if you're clean or dirty. It's all about survival. Then he throws his skateboard through a window, and Darby says he is a hoodlum, and he's no different than Steen. Then we see Steen bash a bunch of windows with his baseball bat, even though one window didn't break. And you could hear him huffing and puffing. I'm like, he's getting winded. Swing the baseball bat at these glass panels. There's no way he can do a non-cinematic match.
I mean that proved that this has got to be a cinematic match.
That Steen agreed that he is a hoodlum, and then he says at Revolution in the street fight, it's going to be showtime. So I dug it in a sense. It's a different promo than we've been getting from Steen, but I did have to kind of crack up when that one panel didn't break, and then that he was huffing and puffing. I'm like, yeah, it's got to be cinematic.
Yeah, unless somebody forgot to change out the panel there. I definitely say Sting was struggling a little bit last night to break that window, and you could tell he eventually just gave up because he just switched windows almost mid-swing even.
And they showed a graphic for the Street Fight Revolution, which I love the design of Revolution. I love the logo. I love the graphic. I think they pop more than any other pay-per-view they do. But this is the first time we do see that. It's going to be Sunday, March 7th at 8 p.m. is going to be Revolution. So it's the first Sunday pay-per-view instead of the typical Saturday nights. They didn't want to compete with UFC and boxing, but now they could be in a predicament. It's not officially. I did some research on this afternoon. The NBA hasn't officially decided if they're going to do an All-Star game this year, but if they do, they are off from March 5th through 10th this year. They're taking a 5-day break during the season. They could fit in the All-Star game that Sunday, which could really take away some viewers and some buys from AEW. So we'll see.
I mean, hopefully the NBA decides not to do the All-Star. Maybe Shaq will have a little bit of influence on that.
Well, the interesting thing is NBA, the All-Star game's on TNT.
Yeah.
But I hate to say it, even though AEW is doing great, the NBA is their big money maker. So we'll see how it pans out. Hopefully the NBA doesn't decide to do the All-Star game. The All-Star game was originally supposed to be in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it got rescheduled for 2024. So,
yeah. Well, we'll host it in 2024, and it'll be great.
Yep, absolutely. City of Indianapolis always does their events big in the right way. So.
Oh, yeah.
We then get a match with Chris Jericho and MJF versus the Varsity Blondes. I got to say, I'm digging this theme music of the combination of Jericho and MJF's theme songs together. I'm digging it.
Yeah, it's different. You know, I wasn't too sure about it last week, just because, you know, I'm a Fozzy fan. You know, even when Jericho wasn't wrestling, I was a Fozzy fan. I've got all their albums, so you know, it's kind of like why would you mess up Judas? But this week, really listening to it, it is nice. It's well done. I mean, I got to give them props for that. They did it very well. And yeah, I think it'll grow. At least they're still getting the crowd to be able to sing along, and that was the important thing.
Yep, you can't get rid of that. You got to keep that. So, going to the match, the Varsity Blondes did get some good offense in, especially Griff Garrison. I thought he looked really sharp. The match towards the end, we see Pillman with the drop kick that sends Jericho down to the floor. Pillman just then throws Jericho back into the ring. He does a springboard leap, but is right into a Judas effect. And instead of covering him like Jericho normally would, Jericho goes into a lion salt, nails it this time, looks right at the camera, smiling, then just a serious look. 1, 2, 3. That was to all the haters.
Yep. You know, everybody has an off day. I mean, we talked about this. Even apart from his age, everybody has an off day. And that's exactly what happened. He didn't get enough oomph or slid on the rope, or, you know, we'll never know because Jericho's a professional. He's not going to talk about it. And so just to see Jericho kind of break that professionalism and go, look what I just did.
Yep, I loved it. That was fantastic. Yep. Then after the match.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, we get some jawing between Sammy and MJF.
Yeah. Of course, I got to say my favorite part, and I even texted you about this last night, and I even tweeted about it. Sammy getting excited when MJF would get hit was probably my favorite part of the match.
Did you see Sammy's vlog this week?
No, I did not.
Well, there's one thing. One part towards the end. He's opening up gifts he got from fans, and one fan gave him a action figure of every. Yeah, it might have just been the first 2 lines that have been released, or yeah, it wasn't series 3. It was the first 2 series of the AEW figures, and he opens them all up, and he opens up MJF's, goes outside. He lives on like a 3rd story of the apartment, throws it down into the pool. He gets it out of the pool, takes it to the parking lots, throwing it around. I mean, just destroys the action figure. And MJF tweeted Sammy about it. So
yeah. I did see that there was some tweets about the MJF figure, and so yeah, not just from the vlog either, but somebody made a tweet about when your son's upset because you get the MJF figure when he really wanted something else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like, well, sucks to be you or something
Yeah.
like that. Typical MJF.
He's always in character. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic heel.
Yes, he is. But this feud between Sammy and MJF is just growing week by week, and when these two finally face off head to head, it's going to be amazing.
And speaking of the figures, Series 4, the photos got released yesterday. I think they are the best of the ones they've released so far. Their face scans keep getting better and better every series, and these were awesome. So,
yeah, and of course, you got some of the first series, didn't you?
I've got all 3 so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't have any of the Chase. I doubt I'll ever get a Chase. They're too hard to find, but they do say that they might start making some more so that people can actually get their hands on them and not up price them for like $700. So
yeah, maybe you can actually go into Walmart and find them for a change.
Yeah, that's the reason I order them right off Ringside Collectibles, because I've given up trying to find them in Walmart.
Yeah, they're not there.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope.
Found a belt there and the ring there, but never a figure.
Sure. Yep. So we then get a promo with a pack promo. I got to be honest, I don't know what he was saying. He was saying a lot of stuff, but he was so intense. I love the intensity. His promos kind of remind me of Ultimate Warriors promos back in the day, where you don't know what they said, but they're awesome because their intensity is just off the charts.
Yeah, I know he said something about bloody at one point and bullocks, and that's about all I caught.
He was taking shots at Kenny for the most part. But,
it was completely against Kenny, and I don't even think he touched the Good Brothers in it, but it definitely was a very intense promo that you couldn't make out.
Yeah, he it's hard to understand him sometimes, but I do like the fact that they weren't able to have him in the ring, so they made sure to get him on a promo. I like when Pac's involved with the show. He's too talented not to be. So.
Exactly.
Then we get a in-ring spot. We see Cody Rhodes come out with Arn Anderson. Talk about a new theme that I'm not a fan of. I don't like the Snoop Dogg version of Cody Rhodes' theme song.
No. I enjoyed the original when, it started off with there's more than one royal family, or wrestling has more than one royal family in a downstate's kingdom. I didn't mind the prelude to it, but with Snoop Dogg, it's just I can't get into it.
I think he's only going to use that for as long as the Go Big show's on.
Yeah.
Which I love that show. I think it's fantastic.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic.
Some of the talents those people have is incredible.
Yeah, I know. The one that made me cringe was the guy who put the hooks on his eyes.
Yep, I had to turn away for that one. I couldn't. Yeah. I can't deal with anything with the eyes. So
no. And I saw an upcoming shot of him dragging a car same way, and I went, nope, can't do that.
Yeah. So I will be watching that after we're done with this. So
yep.
Earlier in the night, last night was the AEW Awards. Shaquille O'Neal challenged Cody to a match in March. He pretty much made fun of his hair, said, "Your blonde hair, you look like a girl," all this other stuff. So Cody and Arn Anderson head out to the ring, like I said. And Tony Schiavone's there to greet him. He asked Cody what he makes of Shaq's remarks, what he wants to say, and even to Jade Cargill. Cody says he would keep it simple. That'd be Shaq and Jade against he and Brandy, but life happened. And since Brandy's now having a baby, can't happen. Cody said he defers to his coach. Then when he's not sure where to go, he asks Arn what he should be doing on Revolution. Arn tells Cody a story about Dusty, Cody's dad. And Arn brings up a date back in 1985. And AA says Dusty took on Tully, then flew on a plane across the country to see the birth of Cody, which that really confused me because he brings up a date. He's like, you know what happened on that day? And Cody shakes his head, no.
No,
yeah. Then he said he's born. I'm thinking, wait, Cody, if that's your birthday, how do you not know what happened on that day? Unless the only thing I could think of was Cody was born the next day, and or the match happened a day before, and then he flew across, and then Cody was born the next day or something, because that was just really strange to me.
It was. I thought the same thing. I'm like, well, if this is your birthday, Cody, why didn't you know the date? And then, it's just like, why? What was going on there? Did Arn mess it up? And yes, June 30th, 1985 was Cody's birthday. It's Cody's birthday.
I don't remember he said June something 1985. I don't remember the exact date.
I think it was 28th or 29th.
I think it's 28th. I think you're right. So okay, maybe that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? But Cody was tearing up, which I know it sounds weird, but I always enjoy when Cody gets emotional. It just tugs at your heartstrings and get you involved in the show. AA says if he wants to do the show, he needs to do it with eyes wide open. Double A brings up Shaq's amazing career in the NBA, which I had to laugh because he said he dominated the NBA for 19 years. He definitely dominated for a decade. I would say almost maybe even 15 years. But those last couple of years of Shaq's career, he wasn't dominating. He was bouncing from team to team, trying to win a championship. But nonetheless, I'll give that. I'll give Arn credit there. Arn says he's sure Jade does the same thing when she comes into a room, and she does. She's built like a brick house for a woman. A then brings out Red Velvet while Cody's pondering his future. Very serious Red Velvet heads into the ring. A says she's got fired just like Cody. Red Velvet looks at the camera and says she's out here tonight because she's tired of getting attacked and Brandy getting disrespected by the coward Jade. Red Velvet says Cody would never put a hand on Jade, and Red Velvet, will. And she says she's here to stir it up. And Tony says it looks like the ball is in Shaq and Jade's court.
Yeah, so this match hasn't officially been confirmed for Revolution, but I think it'll happen.
And I hope they do a little more storytelling and introduce to the Dynamite crowd who Red Velvet is, because if you don't watch Dark, you're not really familiar with her in that she's actually Brandy's protege. You're kind of wondering why would she be helping Brandy, or maybe if you missed the waiting room segment a couple weeks ago. So they need to do a little more storytelling here, I think. But like you said last week, I'm ready to get this story over with. I mean, it is a big spot with eyeballs on it. I get it. That will draw some public attention, but I kind of wish Cody was in a different match for Revolution, to be honest.
Or, somebody else taking on Shaq. I mean, but then again, I got to say, it's got to be Cody. I mean, either one of the Young Bucks taking on Shaq just wouldn't work. Kenny, it wouldn't work. I think they chose Cody more because, that last few years, Shaq was bouncing from team to team. Cody got released from the WWE, and I think he hit every wrestling promotion possible in a few years span of time. So kind of interested to see how they tie it all together, why Shaq all of a sudden wants to wrestle him, but it'll be interesting.
Yep, it's smart on TNT's part to get some cross branding there. And Shaquille O'Neal's only 49. He actually, I take it back. He will turn 49 the night before Revolution, or the day before Revolution. So
yeah, he's still got some years left him in the ring if he decided to wrestle.
Yep. Well, years ago, he was supposed to face the Big Show at WrestleMania, and Big Show I felt bad for the Big Show. He got in shape, cut down weight the whole year, and then Shaq backed out of the match. So we then head to the ring, and we have a match between Adam Hangman Page and Ryan Nemeth, who is the real-life younger brother of Dolph Ziggler. I believe this was Nemeth's first match since 2018.
Really?
I think so. I thought I heard that on Fightful on their podcast. I could have misheard that, but anyways, and I thought Nemeth got some decent offense in, but towards the end of the match, Page hit a clothesline in the corner, sliding lariat, and pinned for a 2 count. Nemeth got back up, reversed, getting thrown out of the ring. He hit a spike DDT on Page, 2 count for a 2 count. Page flips out a German suplex, discus punch, clothesline, buckshot lariat, cover 1, 2, 3, which I think the buckshot lariat is one of the best finishing moves in all of professional wrestling.
Yeah, there's a lot that's got to go into it. I mean, it's perfect timing, perfect position, everything. Because, I mean, you mess up. If he flips too soon, it's over.
Yep. We then see Big Money Matt Hardy, who was out here kind of doing some scouting during the match. Hardy says he's been watching over the past few months, and he's concerned about Page. He says he doesn't want to create a scene. He said he knows the Dark Order has been coming after him as well. He says he doesn't want anything, but he just wants Paige to be happy, and that Paige deserves that. He said he's seen where Paige dresses and that he has a much bigger dressing room, and Paige is more than welcome to go there instead, no strings attached. And Tony Schiavone even said, you should probably take him up on that.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole match segment, all of it was really well done. I mean, Ryan definitely showed that he's got talent. We talked about the road to that neither one of us really realized he was in WWE and just never got used because of his brother. Although his brother's tweets during the match were absolutely fantastic. If you didn't see those, you definitely got to go look them up. There was banter back and forth between the two of them. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm interested to see what goes on with the Matt Hardy stuff because, Evil Uno's not too happy with Matt.
Correct.
Of course, none of Dark Order's too happy with Matt because they feel that Hangman should be theirs and, what's Matt going to offer him that they didn't and where'd they go wrong. So I'm interested to see how this evolves over the next few weeks or months.
Yeah, I think if I had to guess, usually I'm wrong when I'm trying to predict ahead of time storylines. That's what I love about AEW because I can't predict it a lot of times when I think I can. But I think that we will see Hangman turn Matt Hardy and Private Party down, and they'll attack him. And then that's when we see two members of the Dark Order come in for the save. Hangman ultimately joins Dark Order.
Yeah, and you went with 2. I think it'll end up being 3. I think it'll be Alex, Johnny, and Evil Uno.
Okay. We'll see.
Or maybe even Colt, because he was so against joining the Dark Order, and then all of a sudden he officially joined and nobody really realized it.
Yeah, I think they had a plan to show that with Brody, but then Brody got sick and they just put him in the group. So
yep.
But I was surprised Nemeth, they didn't have him debut on Dark.
Yeah, I think they wanted to show him that they really believed in him. He's been on the Indies, I think. In the past, of course, like you said, it's been quite a while since he wrestled last. But I feel they had faith in him. I don't think it had, you're Dolph's younger brother. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think they wanted to show him because, Cody was underutilized in the company. So were the Good Brothers, but, many people were that are now in AEW. But I think they wanted to show him, look, we care about you. We want to utilize you the right way. And I think having him go up against Hangman for his debut match was the best way to do it.
It'll be interesting to see if he gets a good amount of matches going forward. I sure hope this isn't the last we've seen of him within the company because I think he's got some potential. I don't think he's as good as his older brother, but
yeah, his brother's been wrestling a little bit longer than he has, a little bit more consistently. I think as he gets older, he'll start to come into his own.
Then we got what I thought was the match of the night. And I told you I had read some things online saying this was going to be the match of the night, and it lived up to expectations and more. That was Jungle Boy against Dax Harwood. And I think this was Dax versus singles match in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Mistaken. But this match, it was hard to come up with a synopsis because it was back and forth and action all over the place. But towards the end of the match, there was a lot of 2 counts both ways. Harwood tried for the jackknife pin, didn't get it. Harwood hit a knee. Jungle Boy with a pin, didn't get it. And then Jungle Boy went right into the snare trap. Tully and Cash are trying to get to the ring, but of course they're handcuffed to Luchasaurus. That's part of the stipulation. Harwood ends up tapping out because of all the punishment he endured to that arm during the match. Then the post-match happens. The handcuffs are removed. Tully throws powder into Luchasaurus's eyes. Cash Wheeler drops him. Wheeler gets in the ring and beats up Jungle Boy. Then he takes a slingshot suplex. Tully gets up on the top rope. Harwood and Wheeler get Luchasaurus, and they hit the spike pile driver. Luchasaurus is then handcuffed to the ropes. Harwood grabs some scissors, cuts off the horns to Luchasaurus's mask. Then they go to cut Jungle Boy's hair, and Marco Stunt runs out to the ring with the chair alongside SCU, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, and Top Flight. And as FTR and Tully exit the ring.
Yeah, it was nice to see Tully interact more than just on the mic. He got physical and he showed he still got it. I text you and I still want to see it. I want to see FTR and Jungle Boy with Luchasaurus and all of Jurassic Express.
Mhm.
Their name escaped me for a minute. Sorry. In a 6-man tag match. Bring Tully in. Only have Tully take on Marco. Those two would do well together. Marco's still extremely green. Tully's not going to be able to take a whole lot of hits. So I think having those two face off and then, the other four can do kind of however they need to. But those two end up in the ring together, even if it's just for a few minutes and then Tully never gets in again. I think it would be absolutely fantastic.
I'm just glad they didn't cut Jungle Boy's hair. I thought that's where they're going for a second. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you leave that hair alone. That
Yeah,
is a staple of his.
Yeah, he's even said in the past that he's got his dad's hair and he let it grow out because he looks so much like his dad. This separated him from that.
Yep. And talking about theme songs, Tarzan Boy, fantastic. I'm so glad that Tony Khan bought the rights to that song for him.
Yes, it's a fabulous 80s song. Gets overlooked a lot. But yeah, it's a good song and I'm glad Jungle Boy asked for it and I'm glad Tony got it for him. Works well with Jungle Boy.
Yep. Just wait till there's live crowds. That's going to be another popular one for them to sing along to.
Yep, we even started seeing the crowd start to sing along last night, so this one's catching on too.
Yep. And Luchasaurus, do you think he dons a new mask next week or wears the same one without horns, or will the horns just grow back like a tail does?
I'm interested to see. I mean, he's been wearing that mask forever. So if he gets a new one, it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with.
Someday when Jurassic Express kind of goes their separate ways, and because eventually I think they will. I think down the road, because Jungle Boy's gonna be a huge star. I think if you're Tony Khan, Jungle Boy and MJF and Sammy Guevara are the three. I mean, there's more than that, but they're the three that come to my mind right away that you're gonna strap a rocket ship to, and they're the future faces of your company.
Yep.
But when Jurassic Express does go their separate ways eventually, I think you turn Luchasaurus heel and make him into like a murderous T-Rex, because T-Rexes are not nice.
I could agree with that, honestly. Yeah, and I think when they split, I definitely now believe that Luchasaurus needs to be the one to flip heel and attack Jungle Boy.
Yep. I think you wait for a while. I mean, because they're so loved by the live crowd, especially the younger fans. So you wait for a while, but down the road, I kind of like the thought of heel Luchasaurus with like a bloody type T-Rex mask or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah. I'm definitely excited for next week now. Now I want to know if he's going to come out with the same mask on or if the horns are just going to appear back.
Or it's the same mask with just hornless. So,
yeah.
Which would be weird looking. I don't know. We will see.
Yeah.
But they're definitely building this. I think we'll see a payoff. Probably a Revolution. So,
yeah.
We didn't see a backstage segment of Team Taz. They see some merch guys that must have been related to Sting and Darby somehow, because they're setting up a merch table with just Sting and Darby apparel. And Hook goes over and punches one of the guys, throws him over the barricade. Hobbs throws a guy over the barricade. Cage goes, grabs one of the guys, and this is like vintage 1996 NWO Kevin Nash to Rey Mysterio against the trailer. Lawn darts the guy head first into the trailer. And then this impressed me. We see Ricky Starks shoulder press a guy through the table.
Yeah, definitely saw something new from Ricky there that we haven't seen. He showed some dominance, which I think they really need to show in the ring. Team Taz has a lot of great guys, but Ricky Starks is kind of going to get overlooked because he's not the powerful one of the three. So seeing him do something like that last night, and I mean, it was nice. And yeah, Twitter blew up with this looks like 1996 NWO. So,
I mean, and I like how AEW and TNT work in some vintage throwbacks to WCW like that.
Yeah, they don't want to be WCW, and they've said that since day one. They've got a little bit smarter management than WCW did. But just to have the little segments that made WCW so popular redone in a fun, new, exciting way. So if you didn't see it when WCW did it, you're seeing it when AEW did it, and then you're seeing the people on Twitter and all sorts of social media saying, "Oh, that's just like back in WCW," which then drives people back to watch that segment from WCW.
Exactly. We didn't have it. It's getting close to 9:30 last night, so of course,
Yep.
that's, death, taxes. AEW having women's matches at 9:30. That's what.
Yep.
Which at first I didn't like that they did that, but now I'm so used to it. I do like that.
Yeah, I think if they start moving the women's match around, it's going to throw everything off. I don't normally watch the clock, so when you hear a woman coming out, it's right around 9:30.
Yep.
So if they move it back and be like, oh, okay, right after this match, we're gonna have the main event, and it'll be like 8:30, 9 o'clock at that point. I'm like, what's going on?
We got a Dr. Britt Baker against Shayna, and Shayna's wearing some Dragon Ball Z type apparel, which I've seen her do before. She
Yes.
definitely looked like Goku up there a little bit, which I know you popped for that.
Yep. Big Dragon Ball Z fan, so definitely nice to see that.
This match kind of went back and forth a little bit. Towards the end, we saw Britt Baker hit a low boot to the face, swinging neck breaker, and a cover for 2. Reba then put a glove on Britt Baker's hand. Baker goes for the lockjaw. It gets reversed into a pin for a 2 count. Shayna lands a stunner. It was like a jumping stunner. It was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Then she hits a running low drop kick, tries for a tiger suplex. Reba jumps up on the apron, distracts the referee. Baker brings Shayna down and applies the lockjaw for a quick tap out. Then after the match, Baker's kicking Shayna in the back of the head, hits a curb stop, another kick to the back of the head, lockjaw applied once again. Then Thunder Rosa's music hits. She runs down to the ring to make the save. Reba and Britt run out of the ring to the side of the stage, and Thunder Rosa chases and then goes back in the ring, yet while yelling to make sure Shayna's okay. And we are finally going to get the match we should have got a few weeks ago next week at Beach Break between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. This might be the most excited I've been for a women's match in AEW history.
That wasn't a title match at that. I mean, there's nothing on the line here. You don't get the belt. You don't become number 1 contender. It's just 2 women going out there to show off how good they are and to squash a feud.
Yep, it should be a fantastic match. And it's going to be a tough prediction here in a few minutes when we make our predictions for sure. We then get another backstage segment, a lot of backstage segments on last night's show. MJF wants to talk to Sammy Guevara. MJF tells him that he didn't tell Wardlow to get involved in last night's match. Not last night's match, but last week's match. MJF says he docked Wardlow's pay and it won't ever happen again. I kind of chuckled at that. Sammy doesn't believe him. He says everybody believes what he says, but not him. Sammy says he sees exactly what MJF is up to. MJF asks if he's sure he wants to play it that way. Sammy responds, "I'm not playing."
When Sammy made his debut on BTE, I wasn't too sure about him. He was an egotistical kid that had a panda on a t-shirt. But over the last year, he's just showed absolute fantastic skill in the ring, on the mic. He's got the vlog, and I think that helps with the mic skills. Definitely, like we've mentioned in the past, future star. I'm looking forward to Sammy taking off, and I'm looking forward to that feud between Sammy and MJF coming to a head.
Yeah, I mean, you knew the company had a lot of faith and confidence in him when they placed him against Cody in the first ever Dynamite match on TNT. But even that night when he joined the Inner Circle, I didn't know too much about him yet. I'm like, I don't know about this. Now he's one of my favorites in the whole company. And like I said, I can't wait till he splits off. I think that's common. And ultimately, I think Jericho's going to split off too, because MJF, if you noticed, he's got in good with now Santana and Ortiz and even Hager. And Sammy's the one he can't get in good with because Sammy's reading right between the lines.
Yeah, we talked about this, what's going to happen, because sooner or later, Jericho's going to go on tour. It's bound to happen. It happens every so often with Fozzy. And so, I got a feeling that MJF's going to take the role over as leader of Inner Circle, and that's really going to cause some heat between him and Sammy, because I'm sure Sammy's going to feel he deserves that spot. And then I think when Jericho comes back, he doesn't come back as part of the circle. He'll come back as a singles competitor again. Maybe even start doing more commentary, less in ring.
I'm starting to think we get Sammy against MJF or Revolution. I think it might be a little too quick to do that, but at the same time, I don't know where else they go.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to hold out unless you just really, really want to build it up and have everybody else from the inner circle start turning against Sammy because of MJF. But yeah, it Revolution, I mean, sounds like the perfect place for it, unless you wait until Vegas. I mean, I don't see how you can wait that long, but Double or Nothing might be the place to do it.
Unless they have MJF and Jericho win the Battle Royal for the tag team title shot next week.
Yeah.
But also Pride and Powerful are going to be in that match too. I guess there could be a squabble between two teams.
As well as Sammy Hagar.
Oh, they're going to be in it too. That's right.
Yeah.
So I think, we're going to see something happen during that match. Yep. So then we have the main event. For the first time in 5 years, you have the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers in the ring together against the Dark Order. Pretty historic when you think about it. You got the Impact Tag Champs and the AEW Tag Champs in the same ring.
Yeah, it was a good match from start to finish too, honestly.
It was. Before the match, though, there was a backstage segment. Dasha Gonzalez is talking with the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks. Gallows is hyping up next week's match against Moxley, Phoenix, and Pac. The Young Bucks say they're excited to team up as long as Don Callis, Uncle Creepy, as they call him, isn't around. Yeah. Kenny Omega then shows up and asks Matt if he's interrupting anything. Omega says they need to talk. Callis shows up with bandages all over his face. Matt and Nick ask what happened to him. Callis yells, "You assaulted me." Then they start arguing as Omega keeps them separated. I'm starting to think that he attacked himself, Paul.
Uncle Creepy beat himself up.
It's all part of his plan. He's a carny. Yep. He's a carny heel.
That he is, and he's going to drive that wedge between Kenny and the Bucks. And what better way to do it than, Kenny, they keep attacking me.
The match itself, like you said, fantastic match. This reminded me of just an old school West Coast match. I mean, where a lot of these guys faced each other on the independents.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great offense in this match. I mean, a lot of high flying spots, but what else would you expect? Johnny Hungy sizing up Gallows was fantastic. Stu Grayson looked fantastic. Towards the end of the match, Uno and Grayson hit fatality on Nick, which I love that move. I think it's one of the best moves in the business. I'm shocked every time they can pull it off. It just looks so hard to pull off, and they do it with ease. But the cover gets broken up by Carl Anderson. Uno and Grayson take super kicks from Nick. He then hits a big step-up twisting flip on the Dark Order. Multiple apron power bombs are seen to the Dark Order. Grayson hits a quadruple super kick as they all yell "too sweet." Thought that was pretty cool. Which I know that AEW has filed the trademark for. Tama Tonga says they can have it, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that going forward. Then Anderson and Gallows hit the Magic Killer on Uno. Grayson takes a Meltzer driver by Matt and Nick for the cover 1, 2, 3. Post-match sees Matt get on the mic and says next week on Beach Break, whoever wins the Battle Royal gets a shot at the tag team titles at Revolution. Matt says they are also in the match, which means if they win, they get to pick their opponents if they win. Matt says it could be anybody and looks right at the Good Brothers. They do a too sweet gesture in the ring. Ray Phoenix hits the ring, hits a slingshot double drop kick on the Young Bucks. The Good Brothers immediately take him down, though. Go for the Magic Killer. Doesn't work. Moxley runs into the ring and clears out the ring. Phoenix with a massive flipping senton on Anderson. Omega then runs out with his pointed boot in one hand, but runs right into a paradigm shift, and he's out cold. Moxley and Phoenix celebrate as the show closes.
As good as the main event was, I absolutely loved the post-match segment. So much action, so quick. Definitely wasn't rushed this week like last week's finish was for the show. But when Ray flipped, I got scared for a second because he hit that guardrail a little too close, and oof,
That could have been awful. He gets hurt
yeah,
so much. And even when he doesn't get hurt, he almost gets hurt every week. It's
yeah,
like, man.
yeah. He's one of those that you go, well, is Ray going to be wrestling this week? He's set to be part of the main event next week. Is he going to be there?
Yeah, he'll
But
be there.
you
He'll be
know,
there.
I liked how they had, or I liked how Moxley kind of just had his back to Kenny until right before he hit him with the paradigm shift. Like,
Yeah,
it's just he knew he was there.
I thought Kenny was going to beat him up. That swerved me. So, and it was a great paradigm shift, great sell by Kenny. I mean, he was just straight up. So, yeah, really looking forward to Beach Break next week. It's a fantastic card. Let's do some predictions, Paul. And for all of our listeners and viewers, we plan on doing predictions anytime AEW has a pay-per-view or a big Dynamite like this one, a special edition. When we do pay-per-views, we'll do some confident points picks. But with Beach Break, I didn't want to do that because they might add some matches throughout this week.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
like they did today. So,
yeah, AEW is really good about adding matches last minute. You get super stoked about a card, and then they add something little.
Yep. Which I think will be safer for the pay-per-views since most of those are going to happen on Saturdays. We record these on Thursdays. I think the card will be pretty much finalized by that time. So
yeah, so our prediction stuff will be able to be a lot more smoother at that point.
Yes. So, but for Beach Break next week, we get Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer in a lumberjack match. Who are you taking in that one?
I think Archer's got to win this one. That way they're 1-1. You're looking for a rubber match. You get one more chapter this way.
I agree. I would be very surprised if they have Lance lose twice. Lumberjack matches are always interesting. We're going to see a lot of diving spots that JR hates that the wrestlers are going to try to catch the whoever's diving. So this isn't a match, but it's a segment. I can't wait till it's done with. Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford's wedding. Charles Taylor, finally, he's the butler for Miro until next week, and then I think that's over with. I presume we see something that sets up a Miro and Orange Cassidy match at Revolution, I presume.
I just want to see, and I think it would be perfect for BTE, Statlander kidnap Penelope.
Ooh, I like that.
I mean, that works. Statlander back into Dynamite, even if she can't wrestle this week, it really puts everybody's focus back on her who might not watch BTE because they'll replay that clip at some point if that were to happen. And then, we get a possible feud there. I think Orange shows up at the wedding.
I'll probably pop out of the cake.
Yeah, it's a wrestling wedding on live TV. There's always a guest appearance, whether it's Kane coming up from under the ring or Miro, also known as Rusev at the time, popping out of the cake.
Bischoff taking off the mask when he was the Reverend.
Yep. Yeah. Recently on Impact, you get shot.
Oh, you never know what's going to happen. So, I just wish they'd get Miro out of the storyline. I think he's too good to be used the way he's getting used.
Yeah, they brought him in as such a dominant force, and then they postponed the wedding. They wanted to do something like this. Of course, I think they were hoping that the way things were going, they would be able to have more fans present for Beach Break. I know at one point we talked they were hoping to travel by Beach Break. So I think that's one reason this has been drug out so long, to hopefully try to be somewhere different, but unable to travel still. So they just went for it at Beach Break. At least it'll be over.
Yep. I don't have any other thoughts on it. You summed it up pretty good. Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. This match has been a couple months in the making, really.
I'm going Thunder Rosa on this one. She's a dominant force. I was surprised that Serena Deeb beat her for the title. I figured she'd hold on to that her entire run in AEW. Defended against every woman, or at least close to as many as she could, because we still have some out, and Rio's been out. We just found out she's coming back, so I'm excited for that. But especially because about a week and a half ago, they said we don't know if she'll ever be back, and now this. So I'm excited to see Riho back. But yeah, I'm pulling for Thunder Rosa in this one.
I'm gonna take Britt Baker. I'm gonna differ on this one. I could see it going either way. I really could, but I think 2021 is the year for Britt Baker. I think she becomes the main female in the company.
Yeah. Now she can just resurrect her dead boyfriend. That'd be great.
Yeah, he's a little busy on Wednesday nights in a different company.
Yeah, sadly.
Yep. The tag team battle royal. Who you got winning that?
Well, as we talked a little bit ago, there's 3 teams. All 6 members of the Inner Circle are in this. I don't know. We kind of talked about this earlier. I could see Private Party winning it to try to give them that push. Look, well, you may not have beat the Good Brothers, but now come take on the Young Bucks. I definitely don't see the Bucks winning it, though, to be able to pick their own. I know they teased it, and if this was another company, I'd be saying the Bucks are going to win it, but AEW throws way too many curveballs to allow the Bucks to win it.
They do throw too many curveballs, but I am taking the Bucks because if not, I just can't figure out where else they're going with the story. I mean, they still got a little ways to Revolution. They got a little over a month, but that's still pretty quick for a big build. So I think they win it and end up taking on the Good Brothers at Revolution. But we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the Good Brothers match against Private Party at No Surrender too. So
yeah, see, that'd be my next question. Does Private Party then get involved in that match with Bucks and Good Brothers?
But I mean, every good tag team you can think of in AEW is in this battle royal. So I mean, and we already talked about the feud between Jurassic Express and FTR. They're gonna both be in it, so that feud probably escalates. It's gonna be fun to watch. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully TH2's in there a little longer than they've had some TV time here recently. Definitely one of the tag teams I think they're letting slip.
Yeah.
They're overlooking TH2, and I think by the end of 2021, I'd like to see TH2 win the belts at least once.
And the main event for Beach Break got Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers against Jon Moxley, Phoenix, and Pac.
This one I'm having a hard time picking on because, I want to go the club, but at the same time, you've got so much on the other side, Moxley and Pac. But, this brings up, we've talked about this in the past, Moxley and Pac have had a pass together. Moxley and Phoenix have had a pass together. Is that going to interfere with this match? Omega and the brothers are on the same page. They're clicking left and right together. So I can't pick.
Well, I'll go first if that helps.
Okay.
I'm taking the club. I'm taking the lead because hey, Uncle Creepy's got to get involved.
Yeah, Uncle Creepy will get involved, but
I just don't think you can beat Kenny Omega right now. You can't do it.
No. I kind of agree with that. I'll go with you on this one. I think we're going to too sweet it up at the end of Beach Break next week.
Yep. It's I still think we get Moxley's rematch against him at Revolution, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly the way the more I sit here and think about it, that's how they'll play it out. Moxley loses and he goes, look, you may have beat me, but you didn't pin me. It was, a 6-man tag match. Let's do this one-on-one one more time, you and me. And somehow it's going to end up in a cage or something to prevent interference.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd be all for it. It's been almost a year since we got the one and only cage match in AEW history. So it's about time for another one.
The moonsault off the top.
I mean, I know they really want to save some stuff for when the fans come back, but we just don't know when that's going to be. So you got to keep going with your program to keep everybody entertained.
Yep, and Cody was the last one in steel cage. I personally, for the AEW awards, voted for that. Yep. But I think it's time for another cage match.
Yep. I'm not going to disagree with you there. Really looking forward to Beach Break. Going to be a stacked card. We'll have to revisit it next week when we do the recap and see how we did on our picks. But before we close out the show, Paul, I want to do a few more predictions, and this is for the whole year of 2021. I want you to give me the belt holders or who will be holding each title in AEW by the end of 2021.
Kenny will still be champ.
Okay.
TNT title, that's hard. I don't want to see Darby drop it, but he's going to drop it at some point. To who? I don't know. Maybe even Hook picks it up. I don't know. Maybe that's how they tie that in with Team Taz, because he's taken on everybody else from Team Taz at this point. So what else does he do? Or maybe we get Nemesis gets the belt. TNT is so hard to pick because this is one of those. I forgot to talk about it last week. We saw Cody and Peter Avalon during their match. JR or Tony, I cannot remember which one, makes the comment that, if he can beat Cody, this will put him in the rankings for the TNT title. There are no rankings for the TNT title. I did not realize that. So this is kind of a unique belt.
It's ranked with both the AEW title and the TNT title are the same rankings.
Yes, which is interesting because it doesn't have its own. So how are they going to work that out? I'm very interested to see it.
I assume the first place gets the AEW title shot, second place gets TNT title shot.
So yeah, I have a hard time picking who's going to be TNT champion by the end of the year. It'll be an up and coming star, that's for sure. Over on the women's division, man, Britt Baker, she's going to be holding that belt at the end of 2021. And for the tag teams, I don't think the Bucks hold it all year long. They'll hold it till at least June, July, maybe drop them at Double or Nothing, or even All Out in September. But man, I have no clue who to even pick for that. There's so many good teams. I'd like to see Santana and Ortiz win it. I wouldn't mind seeing Sammy as a champion. TH2, we've talked about that. I'd love to see TH2 as champs. There's too many good tag teams in AEW to pick a winner, in my opinion.
All right, I'll give you my predictions.
All right.
For the AEW heavyweight champion, all day I was gonna go with Omega, but since you went Omega, I'm gonna differ with you.
Okay.
Adam Hangman Page will be the AEW heavyweight champion by the end of 2021.
Okay.
He'll beat Kenny for it.
That would bring the feud that we should have already had by now, but yeah.
For the TNT, I agree it's a very hard one to predict. I was either going to go Miro or Sammy Guevara. I'm going to go Sammy Guevara.
I'd be happy with either one of those, honestly.
Tag titles, very tough, like you said. I really like Top Flight, but I don't think they're quite ready.
Yeah, no, I think they're still a little too green, unfortunately.
I think FTR gets the titles back at some time in 2021. It ends 2020. You want them with the titles.
Okay.
And then women's, I like your pick of Britt Baker. I'll agree with you on that. I thought maybe Statlander, but I like Britt. I think this is her year to shine.
Yeah, I think Britt will win it. She'll take it into 2022, and then Statlander will beat her.
And I think sometime this year, trio titles are introduced.
Yes, we need the 6-man tag titles, and we need them quickly.
And the Dark Order will be your first trio title champions.
Yep. Now, okay, so who from the Dark Order would you pick?
Well, it depends if they could do that one rule, like I've seen other companies do, where it doesn't really matter. All of them are 5 or 6 of them are the champions. You just rotate the 3. But if there's only 3, then you got to go Silver. You got to go Reynolds. I don't put Evil Uno or Stu because they're kind of a tag team themselves. I'd like to see 10 over Colt.
There we go. That would have been my pick because, you can't break up Uno and Grayson, and you can't add somebody to that. So that eliminates them from the trio. So, yeah, you got to go Reynolds and Silver, and then 10 would be the perfect match.
I mean, just think all the trios. I mean, Death Triangle.
Yep.
Jurassic Express. I'm sure I'm forgetting. Eddie Kingston's family.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Team Taz.
Team Taz, yeah. I think it makes too much sense not to have trios.
Yep, and I mean the Bucks have talked about it since day one. Uh, so I mean, I think we'll have them by the end of this year. It's
Yeah.
probably one of those that they were going to debut in front of a packed house, and well, now they don't know, so they're trying to figure out how to do it.
Be a great way to debut it on the extra 1 hour show when they eventually get that going.
Yeah, I'm hoping by the end of 2021 we have that as well. I think it's long overdue, but we've talked about this, especially today. Tony just made the right decision not to focus on that right now, because I think the talk at one point was to have it at Daly's place every week, and now with Dynamite there and Dark, it'd just be way too much.
Yep. I agree. It'll be interesting to see how everything pans out. But 2021, I mean, we're almost in February already, and it's going to be an exciting year for AEW.
Yep. By the time we meet again, we will be in February.
We will. And Beach Break will have happened, and we'll be here to recap it next week. So give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram if you haven't already at Kicking Out Pod. Subscribe wherever you're listening to this, on whatever audio platform you're listening. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review. That really helps us out. And give us a subscribe on our YouTube channel and on our Twitch channel. We'd appreciate it. So until next week, I'm Tanner Lee. He's Paul Zartman. Take care.
See you next week.